Alright, yeah, welcome back to some more Magic Arena, and today we're going to be playing a little bit of a historic best of one list with a fun little combo based around a Ravnica card and a new Jumpstart card, and that's going to actually be a niv-mizzet Payroon Curiosity combo. So the way that this works, in general, we're going to be trying to slap down niv-mizzet as early as possible. 3 blue, 3 red for a 5/5. Cannot be countered, which is great. One half of our combo guaranteed to resolve. And it says whenever you draw a card, niv-mizzet Payroon deals 1 damage to any target. And whenever a player casts an instant or sorcery spell, you draw a card. So what we're going to do is we're going to land down our niv-mizzet and then hopefully going to resolve a Curiosity onto Niv, which is a 1-mana aura that says whenever this deals damage to an opponent, you may draw a card. So the way this combos together is when we draw a card, we deal 1 damage to any target. We deal the 1 damage to our opponent. And Curiosity says when we deal that damage, we draw a card. And then because we've drawn a card, niv-mizzet deals 1 damage to any target. And then we point that at our opponent's face. And that is an infinite loop of damage up until, obviously, we deck ourselves. That is going to be one of the things that can crop up. We're going to have a deck size that is larger than our opponent's life total. So we could have a little bit of trouble against things like Soul Sisters and things like that do gain a lot of life. But we have some sweepers and things like that to hopefully stop them from establishing too much of a board presence that might gain them life. So how are we going to get to niv-mizzet Payroon in this particular deck? Well, we're running Temur so that we get access to pretty much all the most degenerate ramp spells in the format. And that's going to be Uro, Titan of Nature's Wrath, Growth Spiral, and Explore. Growth Spiral and Explore do essentially the exact same thing. Explore is a 2-mana sorcery, allows you to play an additional land and then draw a card. And then this one is draw a card, and then essentially, if you have a land in your hand, you can play an additional land. So they do functionally the same thing, so we've got 8 copies of the same card. This is just going to allow us to very early on make additional land drops and get to a very early niv-mizzet, because we don't really want to be casting this on turn 6. We want to be, trying to do it maybe turn 4. Maybe turn 5, and also playing Curiosity on the same turn, so we'll see how we do with that. We've set up our mana base in such a way that it is almost highly improbable, I'll say, that niv-mizzet isn't castable. We've only got the 1 forest in the deck, just because we've got the Fable Passage, and then every other land in our deck is either a blue source or a red source. So the only way we could really screw ourselves over colour-wise is if we draw more blue than red, or vice versa. But yes, we got lots and lots of draw with Growth Spirals and Explores. And then Uro, I'm sure most of you know what this one does. It's essentially a 3-mana Growth Spiral. However, it also gains you 3 life when it enters the battlefield. And you can also escape it for 4 to turn it essentially into a 6/6 creature that can repeat the same process. We will be filling our graveyard as well quite a fair bit. Uro's not that difficult to resolve. Since we're going to be going Growth Spirals, Explores, and Fable Passages and things like that, we're going to have a pretty full graveyard pretty early on, so that's an alternative way that we can kind of pressure our opponent and win the game, but primarily we're going with niv-mizzet. Obviously, I'm sure most of you noticed that there's a Locust God in here. A deck that I build would not be complete without a meme card, and the meme card for today is going to be the Locust God, a 6-mana 4/4 with flying. Whenever you draw a card, you get to put a 1/1 blue and red instant creature token onto the battlefield with haste, and then it also has a draw and discard, and if it would die, it comes back to our hands, so any normal removal spells won't be good enough against the Locust God, and we can keep replaying it. It's definitely not a card that is good enough for this deck, but you know me, I like to put a meme in there from time to time, so that's what we're going to do. Other than that, though, we're going to be trying to interact with our opponent in the form of sweepers, so we've got Anger of the Gods, Sweltering Suns, and Magma Quake. Going for 2 Sweltering Suns and 1 Anger of the Gods, specifically because there are certain matchups where Anger is a dead card, even though it is better in matchups where it's good. It's better than Sweltering Suns since it does have the exile ability there. But with Sweltering Suns, we have that cycle 3. So if we're against a creatureless matchup, we really don't want to have loads of Anger of the Gods stuck in our hands. So cycling them away is very nice indeed. So we've got that nice little split there. And then Magma Quake deals X damage to each creature without flying and each Planeswalker. So that's another way we can deal with Planeswalkers as well. We've got 4 ups to find all of our combo pieces and extra lands and things like that. And then finally, 3 copies of Pact of Negation, a 0-mana instant, says counter target spell. However, at the beginning of your next upkeep, you pay 5, and if you don't, you lose the game. So we're going to be using Pact of Negation to make sure that we actually resolve our niv-mizzet Curiosity combo. So if we resolve niv-mizzet, Obviously, it's not going to get countered, but it could have some removal coming down. We can go for a Pact of Negation once it's resolved, and we'll draw a card off of that as well. And then hopefully we'll be able to drop down Curiosity. The good thing about Pact in this particular deck is if we resolve our combo, we do not need to pay the upkeep cost on Pact of Negation. And to be honest, it's pretty easy to do anyway, since we do ramp quite a lot. We got 28 lands in the deck, honestly. You could maybe even go down the Locust Garden up to a 29th land. Not entirely sure. Been doing just fine with 28 as it currently stands, so we're going to play with that style today. But yes, Pact of Negation is just a don't you stop me from winning the game kind of card, and if you do, we can pay for it happily. I've cast Pact of Negations on turn 3 and being able to pay for them, so it's definitely a thing you can do. So yeah, without further ado anyway, if you do enjoy the content, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe, and let's get on to it, shall we? This video is brought to you by the generous support of our wonderful patrons and channel members that you see here. If you'd like to support the channel and get access to cool content like sneak peeks, bonus videos, polls on future content, or access to a personal deck critique from myself every month, then hit the join button down below, or check out the Patreon link in the description. With all that said, let's get into the gameplay. Alright, let's have a look-see. We have a fine hand. It doesn't have much ramp in it, though. But our opponent is playing a Luros deck, which, you know, Anger of Gods and Magma Quake can be pretty good against. So we just need to find some red mana to make that happen. But the longer we go without our Anger, the more likely we are to get some better value. Though, of course, they could have Thought Seizes and things like that. We're going to give this one a shot, even though it's not at its best. If it's going to be the blue-white Boggles as well, then it's probably going to be pretty bad that we don't have the double red nice and early, so drawing that would be ideal. They're aggressively mulliganing. That is actually the Rakdos one. Okay. And we got Growth Spiral, so it's not too bad. I think I will pay the mana here for an opt. Since next turn I'm going to be going with the Growth Spiral, and there's the Steam Vents we need for the Anger of the Gods. So that's our next play sorted. Croxer, Titan of Nature's Wrath. Or Wrath. I feel like I'm getting rid of the Locust God here. Though it's pretty good in general. I feel like just every other card. We can get rid of Pact of Negation. Our opponent will know to play around it now, but you know, playing around a 0 mana counterspell is kind of difficult. Alright, so we're going to go with Hinterland Harbour and pass. I just don't see myself using it anytime soon, and it's not something that I really have to worry about necessarily. If they've got Heartless Axe, Locust God will come back. So just having more useful cards in my hand seems better. Just going to go for a Growth Spiral now, because he keeps asking me, and I don't want it to ask me anymore. Ooh, Ketria Triumph. Alright, so that is Anger of the Gods and Magma Quake X2 online next turn if we want it to be. Going to shock me, fair enough, and that will activate Knight and Ebon Legion's end step trigger. Which does stop Magma Quake from being the ideal play here, but I think because they're kind of mana screwed, I'm just going to go for an Anger here before they get a land and they can activate. Just get that off the board. It's going to get exiled, so it's not going to help Croxer, so they still need plenty more cards. Fair enough. We'll get rid of one of our Magma Quakes. And Uro's a pretty good pickup, actually, being on low life total and having not a great deal left to do. Alright, I'll pay the 2 life there. We've effectively gained 1 from that play, and then we get to go for an Explore as well. And we're going to cast our Uro before they are. Ooh, we got niv-mizzet. Alright. That can be pretty good. We have to dodge like Heartless Axe and things like that, but I feel like that's mostly the only thing we have to care about. Archfiend's Vessel into Village Rites. So they do have Croxer Graveyard set up now, but that's all they've got going for them. I think we just go for a niv-mizzet here, to be honest. Could even be the Locust God, because it'll just set up a lot of insect tokens. Could even see Uro being a good option. You know what? Let's go with the Locust God. It's probably the worst out of all of them, but it's the one that's safest from any kind of removal. And, you know, Crocs are coming down here, just gets rid of Magma Quake, and we're fine with that. We don't care. So we do draw quite a lot of cards in this deck, so, you know, we should have plenty of discard fodder. I'll take one here. I'm guessing they want more value in the yard. They don't want to get rid of their extra Croxer, and that's why they were hoping that I'd block there. I just don't really care for giving them this death trigger, to be honest. Alright, we'll get rid of Magma Quake. And Sweltering Suns is the hit for today. We're going to go with an Uro. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It doesn't matter what we exile. Our graveyard doesn't matter. The only reason we'd have to concern ourselves with our graveyard in particular is if our opponent has some sort of graveyard interaction. So I think I'm going to get in with these, and we're not going to block with Uro if they attack him with Croxer. Because then I get to swing back and deal a lot of damage, gaining life, drawing cards, making insect tokens. And yeah, I think our opponent's done now. Another reason why they'd want that Serrated Scorpion in the yard is so that the Luros actually does a thing. We'll get rid of one of our niv-mizzets. And yeah, I'll just chump. We don't have lethal next turn, so we can set it up later. And if we put Croxer in the yard by blocking with Uro, that also, again, gives Luros a thing to do. And we don't really care for our opponent doing that. Another Serrated Scorpion. Okay. Third niv-mizzet. Wowee. Alright, well, we're going to just go with niv-mizzet Payroon here. And a big all attack. We get to draw, which makes lots and lots of things happen. We're going to ping our opponent. Take him to 9. And make an insect token as well. So going to 5 with the Serrated Scorpion, but we're at 16, so we don't really care about what our opponent's doing here at all. We'll just discard the Sweltering Suns to Croxer, most likely. If they play any instants and sorceries, I get my value. Let's just dump the Sweltering Suns, I guess. And yeah, our opponent is dead in the air. Alright, pretty awkward hand from them, I would say. They kind of had a very rough start to begin with, but, you know, they managed to get their Croxer out, so can't be all bad. But yeah, we managed to ruffle stomp them nicely. Not actually a combo win, but a fun one. We got all of our win cons out on the battlefield at the same time, which is honestly a first for me. I've never actually had Locust God Uro and niv-mizzet in play at any time. But I guess that's what happens when you don't find your niv-mizzet combo. You just win other ways. Okay, we're in, and there's not a great deal to say about this hand, except for it does have turn to explore, and we can play a lot of our shock lands without having to really concern ourselves with it. I think you just take a hand like this nice and easily. And Uro's actually not a bad pick, considering we're going explore beforehand. Opponent's on Abzan. Ooh. Some Aristocratsy style deck by the looks of things. We're just going to go with an explore. And that allows us to make an additional land drop, which... just go Steam Vents for that one. So next turn we do have Explore if we really want to. That fills up the Uro yards. Yeah, it looks like... well, black-white zombies splashing green for probably Collected Company, if I had to guess. So this is kind of where we'd want Anger of the Gods over what we have right now, which is Sweltering Suns. Reason being, we kind of don't want them in the graveyard because Dread Wanderer is a returnable thing, but it's fine. Do we go Explore, Shock for Steam Vents into Sweltering Suns? Going down to 13 is a bit weird. It does get an extra card in our hand, in our graveyard though, for Uro. And we are getting that Uro life gain as well. Ooh, we just got a Sulphur Falls. Alright, well, that makes things a whole lot easier. 3 damage to each creature. Goodbye, creatures. So, Dread Wanderer is one that you can actually get back if you have 1 or fewer cards in hand, so later down the line that's going to be an issue. Yeah, black-white Coco zombies, essentially. And, well, we didn't really get what we needed. We're kind of stuck on 1 green here. It's not a position I find myself in very often, but let's just go with an Uro, see if we can maybe find what we need. And we did have the combo assembled. Our opponent wants nothing to do with Uro, it seems. Let me just view the battlefield. So we got blue, 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 red, red, red. So we can play niv-mizzet. No doubt because they're a Coco deck, they won't really have any interaction for niv-mizzet. So after that, the turn after, we go for Curiosity. And any instant or sorcery or card draw for our upkeep draw, or a draw step draw, more specifically, will be enough to win the game there. So, pretty good. I think that will just win us the game on the spot, and our opponent won't stand a chance. Nice. Okay then, we're in. We've got, unfortunately, turn 1 Fable Passage for Forest, and the reason why that's unfortunate is because it actually slows us down on a niv-mizzet cast, but as it currently stands, that's not the end of the world, so we're going to give this one a shot. Opponent with the Graveyard Sleeves, probably going to be applying that to a Graveyard deck, maybe. We've got Gilded Goose. We've just kind of given away that we've got Pact of Negation in our hand, unfortunately. I guess that's something you have to consider. Is that because it's 0, you can literally hold priority at any given time, so I'm going to shift enter so that that doesn't happen again, since we got nothing to play. If you really want to hide perfect information, then that's something you gotta keep in mind. Opponent with Priest of the Forgotten Gods, so we're going to go with Mountain into Explore, draw cards, and we'll put the Ketria Triome into play tapped. Since we don't have an opt, we've got no reason to put anything else into the battlefield. Okay, so we're not that bad here. Not that far off of having a nice setup. Opponent with Gilded Goose into Woe Strider. Okay. So this is probably... It's probably the Mayhem Devilly deck instead of, like, Bolas's Citadel, or maybe it's both. Maybe it's both. It's hard to tell these days. There's a lot of graveyard Aristocratsy style decks going around these days, so... Alright, let's have a look-see. We can go Explore, make a land drop, play Uro. Yeah, let's explore. Got the Ketria Triumph for the green. And the Hinterland Harbor as well. So we're going to go Fable Passage. We're going to go Sulphur Falls. We're going to crack this for red, red, red. We'll go blue. Play Uro. And put a Hinterland Harbor into play, I guess. Best draw we could have there is either niv-mizzet or an opt, I guess. Not sure it makes a difference either way. Magma Quake's not too bad, actually. As long as they don't have an actual aristocrat like Blood Artist, we can sweep this board quite nicely without too much issue. Maybe they want to just go for a priest to draw. That would be great for us, honestly. Gilded Goose has kind of done its job, and Goat Token is as well. But if it's the Bolas's Citadel list, they kind of want more creatures on the battlefield so that they can do the sacrifice here to scry. And yeah, they got Bolas's Citadel. We're going to have to go for Pact of Negation here, because we might just lose the game if we don't. My opponent didn't see that one coming. Does mean that on our upkeep we have to pay 5, but that's not the end of the world. Sweltering Suns. Alright, well, it's a case of now hoping that they don't have another one. And yeah, that forest right there is kind of going to stop us from going off if we do top deck niv-mizzet here. Because we have to pay the 3 blue and 3 red, which only leaves the forest behind. But we do have Uro mana open. And Magma Quake if we want it. Or even Sweltering Sun cycle. Tough choice. Okay, so they've gone empty-handed-ish. Basically on top decks. I think we probably want to actually Magma Quake X2 with a cycle of Sweltering Suns, perhaps? Yeah, I think so. Magma Quake X2. So opponent want to sack with the Woe Strider so that they can set up a good draw for themselves. Getting rid of the Priest means that we don't have to worry about Bolas's Citadel coming out of nowhere. Unless that's... if that's Phyrexian Tower and they top deck something like a Stitcher Supplier or another 1-drop, I guess they could Citadel at some point. Okay, so we're going to take a fair bit of damage here, unfortunately. It is what it is. And a couple of Blood Ice triggers. Actually, I think we probably just want to go with the Growth Spiral instead of the Sweltering Sun cycle. Okay, so now we're set up to niv-mizzet into Curiosity. If we find that, we win. And yeah, if our opponent finds their Bolas's Citadel, they win, I guess. Got themselves a 5/4 Anger of the Gods. Now, I think it's just Uro here. Exile anything. And kind of hope for the best, really. Can cycle Sweltering Suns. Should probably do that as a full control thing, because Anger of the Gods is good enough on its own. So we'll cycle Sweltering Suns in response to the trigger, so that we have a better chance of putting a land into play. Pact of Negation is actually very good. That means that our opponent's Bolas's Citadel won't do anything. And do we actually go for a Curiosity on Uro? It's a weird one. What's this say? Loses 2 life, so it's not damage. We might as well wait. So yeah, we have 1 turn of definitely not losing right now. Collected Company. I'm going to let that resolve, I think. But it's really dodgy. Mayhem Devil and Blood Artist. And Llanowar Elves. Okay. So it's going to be a swing with Uro into Anger of the Gods. Yeah, I can't take 5. This gets a 5/4 off the board. Our opponent can sack the Goat Token and Mayhem Devil can finish off Woe Strider. I think that's fine. The way Anger of the Gods and Blood Artist works as well, if it would die, it gets exiled instead. Oh, they're going all in. Interesting. So, Blood Artist won't have a death trigger when we anger, which could definitely be relevant. And that's not going to do much for us, unfortunately. So let's go Anger of the Gods. Pass the turn. We've got 5 cards. We need 1 in the yard for Uro. So in fact, actually going for Curiosity on Uro would have allowed us to cast it that turn, which is very strange. But it's a thing, alright. Double Pact is very nice as well. That's worth pacting. Doesn't mean we can't pact Bolas's Citadel, though, because we won't have the mana for it. But at 6, I can't really afford for Blood Artists and Mayhem Devils and things like that to actually hit the battlefield. It's asking a bit too much. Come on, just a niv-mizzet. Just one. Here comes War Strider. We're not going to stop that one. Alright, so forced to pay for the Pact of Negation. And we draw. Get to go with an Uro here. Gain a little bit of life. And draw a card, making a Locust God token. Thing is, hopefully a little bit closer to that niv-mizzet. There's an 11% chance that we just find it and win. So it'd be nice if we could. Alright, I think we just get in with... If they have Claim the Firstborn, they'll steal my Uro, and I'll have to block and block, probably. Yeah, let's just get in with the Locust God. I don't really want to have to Pact of Negation the Claim the Firstborn if it ends up being in their deck. I don't know if it would be with a Bolas's Citadel deck. I'm not too familiar with this list. Mayhem Devil is fine. And Dreadhorde Butcher is... it's not ideal, but it's fine. Fine enough. Now, I think this is another case of running Uro straight into our opponent's board state. I think we just block here. Our opponent essentially has the War Strider sack to do what they did last time, but I don't need to allow that to happen here. Alright, well, no luck on the first draw of the turn. I'm going to put Curiosity on the Locust God. It's going to take a fair bit for them to actually stop that nonsense, and then we'll go Uro and the Locust God getting in. Draw a card from Uro and put the Ketria Triome into play. Actually, we'll go Steam Vents. We'll cycle the Triome if it comes to it. And then Locust God connecting will draw us a card as well. Block and sack. Going to my face. We could actually put a Curiosity in the Mayhem Devil, which is funny. I believe that would draw us cards. It's actually, no. I think it's in our control. Oh no, it's when it deals it to an opponent, so they'd have to target themselves, so that won't work. Alright, so take a little bit of damage. Opponent's really digging for an answer here, because I think they know that they're in a horrible position. And we are very much making lots and lots of tokens, so we're going to go with Uro here. Say yes, we're going to keep the tapped one, because we've escaped that. Wish to keep that one. Gain 3, which is very important. And Steam Vents in tapped. Make a token. Cycle the Triome. With enough blockers, we don't need to Sweltering Suns. And yeah, Fable Passage does get to ping us a little bit. Maybe I should have waited on that just in case they get some really insane draw, but we have Pact of Negation again, so it's really not an issue. We'll just pass, actually. If we absolutely need to, we can react with a Sweltering Suns. Land of War Elves, amazing. Love to see it. And block as much as we absolutely need to here. Let's just pass in. Well, cycle Sweltering Suns. Might just find our niv-mizzet, or our opponent will do nothing. Alright, Pact of Negation there was absolutely clutch. And we are very much not struggling to beat these games. That's a very well established deck, actually. It's probably up there on tier 1, high tier 2. Maybe not in the form that we've seen it. I don't actually remember Bolas's Citadel having Collected Company in there. It's kind of a mishmash of two different decks, I guess, but yeah, I mean, the mishmash of the two different decks, both of them on their own are pretty high tier, so pretty happy with this one. Anyway, let's go for another game. Alright, we're in, and let's see if in this particular game we can actually manage to pull off our niv-mizzet combo. It's the entire build around, and yesterday when I was playing this deck, it was the only way I was getting my wins. Ooh, Ginger Brute. That could be a problem. I think we have to go with Breeding Pool tapped. I don't think we can really afford to take too much damage against an opponent's deck like this. It's it's the artifact one that gets quite out of hand quite quickly, so we need to find our Sweltering Suns, Magma Quakes, and things like that. We're going to go Sulphur Falls, Growth Spiral. And I do want to opt, actually. We've got Fable Passage for a red source, if we do find our Suns. But yeah, if Steel Overseer gets a little bit too quick in the power and toughness department too soon, we could be in big trouble here. Locust God does make tokens to block all of our opponent's stuff, but it's just not enough, and Ginger Brute does have the unblockable. Actually, no, it's unblockable except for by creatures with haste, and these are hasty tokens. Good stuff. But I don't know if we'll necessarily get there in time. We've got an All That Glitters. And Steel Overseer probably taps here. Yeah, this is a pretty heavily aggressive hand here. And we really needed, I think, the draw right there. Let's go for a Fable Passage Crack. Thin the deck and give our opt the best chance, I think, of finding Sweltering Suns. Let's get a double reds. Let's opt. Pact and Negation, not good enough. Oh! Well, we got rid of a bit of it. I don't know if it's good enough, but it's all we really could do. I think double Ginger Brute and Steel Overseer combined were a bit of a problem, and well, they've got more. I was hoping that All That Glitters wouldn't push Ginger Brute into the out of death range, but it appears that, yeah, we're just not going to get there today, which is a shame. We didn't even establish our combo, so yeah, aggroed out of this one. Hyper-aggro is definitely something that we're going to struggle with if we don't have an opening Sweltering Suns or anything like that. Our opponent could get out of the range of it quite easily. Let's see what was underneath. Magma Quake would have been useful, but is not. Alright, well, let's go for another game. Alright, we're in. This hand is acceptable, so we're going to accept it. We've got Anger of the Gods if we need it. We've got Growth Spiral for the ramp in. Serra Ascendant. Scary card for sure. We're just going to go with the Steam Vents for a turn 1 opt here. So Anger of the Gods is going to be very useful here if we can get it at the right time. Daxos is definitely a card I would like to anger. And I think we're just looking for Magma Quakes and more wipes rather than the 19th land. Oh boy. Oh boy. So what we've got here is a classic case of last game syndrome. I don't know if any of you've noticed, but whenever you're winding down to end off the night and you just want to have that one last game, that one last win, all of a sudden every single matchup is your worst draws ever, your worst matchups ever, all to just keep you in the game, ready to go. Play another Soul Sister or something. Dang it. I'm currently dealing with that. I'm just trying to assemble this combo, and every single hand is either Turbo Gash, doesn't include this hand and I win outside of it, or any of the rest. So we're going to go with Anger here. The Devotion on Daxos goes down when everything else dies, so pretty happy. Tell me you've got some sort of protection here. Last game syndrome, peeps. That is last game syndrome right there. It's okay, though. It's not that aggressive of a board state to really worry. We might have niv-mizzet down next turn if we find any of our many, many, many ramp spells. Or perhaps we find another Anger of the Gods, or Sweltering Sun specifically. Nope. Oh, it's so funny. Red, 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 blue, blue. Grab an island. Alright. Next turn we niv-mizzet, turn after we curiosity. We need an instant to just go off right then and there. Yeah, opponent's making 4/4s. And there's our instant, or our sorcery. So we can play this into niv-mizzet. Dodge Banishing Lights and Tribunals, please. No comment. Okay, we're in, and this looks like a pretty good hand to me. We're going up against the Yorion list, which can be all kinds of degenerate, but it sounds fine. I don't know about Anger of the Gods. I'd much rather it be Sweltering Suns in a matchup like this, because it might actually be like a Doom Foretold list, and therefore killing creatures isn't really a thing. But we'll give it a shot. Breeding Pool. Ketria Triumph there is actually kind of nice as a draw. Pact of Negation also can be pretty decent. So we're on the way to a nice hand. Seeker's Squire. What on earth is this? Sultai Explore? Oh, maybe it's a Bolas's Citadel list. That would make the most sense to me, I think. I'm going to go with an Uro here. It's mana efficient. Draws us cards. Playing islands. So we got blue, blue. I'm not grabbing green for Explore. I'm not going to do it. You can't make me. I'll pass the turn. Every time I grab that forest, it's a worst case scenario kind of thing. So I'm just not going to do it. I don't need to. Okay, opponent hits this for 2. And passes. I will grab... guess a red. Growth Spiral. 3 cards in the yard. We'll go Uro first, I guess. Don't really get anything of note there, unfortunately. And then we'll go with the Growth Spiral. Another Uro, okay. So really struggling to hit one of our many lands, but we could be in a worse spot, to be honest. Having mana troubles when you're at 24 is not the worst thing. With a Pact of Negation to pretty much guarantee I'll never lose. Alright, no Explore creature. Dang it. Fine. I was really hoping to get an Anger of the Gods off here, but everything gets kind of out the way. That's not bad, though. Yeah, I guess we'll just go with the Magma Quake X4. We'll do that now before they can interact with it in some way. X4, please. Get rid of this board state. Got Pact of Negation in case anything crops up that I would have to worry about. And we're ready for an Uro now. Just going to play Yorion. Honestly, best thing that they've ever done for us. Let's go Uro. And we will eat everything here. We don't mind getting rid of the extra copy of Uro. 1, because it's legendary, but 2, they might have something like Command the Dread Hordes. And I don't really want them having my Uro. And we're just going to go for the mana efficient Explore here. Ooh, into the mana efficient Breeding Pool Opt. So we are literally just looking for our combo to finish off this game. Opponent's got Vraska. I don't care. They can minus on Uro. I don't think I care enough. I'm just getting back later. I don't want that. I just want my combo. Just give me my combo. Just give me my combo. Uro. Just give me my combo. Hand it over. There's one piece of the puzzle. It's actually the hardest piece because we've got 3 copies of it. 5 cards, so I could cycle a Sheltered Thicket, and that kind of sets me up for playing Uro as a worst case. I'm going to do this now because we have lots of 2-drops, like Growth Spiral. There we go. All right. We are set up, ready to go. We've got niv-mizzet into Curiosity with Pact of Negation backup. There is virtually nothing our opponent can do here that would make me want to counter it. Got 35 cards to their 23 life. Please do not scoop. If our opponent scoops, I am probably going to leave it there. Because you do not know how many times I've pulled off this combo kind of off camera now. I've been trying to record the combo specifically, but everyone just scoops. And it's so irritating. Alright. So now we have the combo established. Anything our opponent does at all, we will pact. And when we pact, we get a trigger on the stack. If our opponent plays an instant and sorcery, they lose the game. So, in response to your Maelstrom Pulse, I draw a card. When I draw a card, I deal 1 damage. Thank you, opponent, for not scooping immediately. Maybe they will once we've done this, but this is all I wanted. This right here. The combo. And, well, at least they don't make me do the full 20. That's fine. As long as I get the combo off, I don't care. Oh, yeah, it's been a slog to get this particular combo going. And as I mentioned, I imagine in a previous video, yesterday when I was testing this deck, I was doing non-stop niv-mizzet comboing. I don't mean like, this is a tier 1 kind of non-stop niv-mizzet comboing. I mean like every single win I got was this combo. And today, it was the exact opposite, which is fun, and it just shows that there is a little bit of resiliency in the deck, but when you're trying to show off a combo and you're actually pulling off the secondary combo way easier, it's a little bit of a tilt. But hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video anyway. If you have, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. Deck list is down in the description below. I would say this is a mid-tier 2 list. Maybe lower tier 2 list. I wouldn't put it terribly high, but it can get to niv-mizzet Curiosity easy enough anyway in the Pact of Negations. This is an absurd card. In certain combo decks that really don't care about this upkeep stop because they win, it's an absurd card, but yeah. I recommend checking it out if you've got the pieces for it. I wouldn't necessarily call it a grind deck though. I'd probably sooner do Muxus Goblins, because for some reason Muxus didn't get banned or anything like that in Best of 1, even though, Nexus did. But that's a topic for another day, I guess. But yeah, make sure to hit that like button if you did enjoy. Hit the bell icon to get notifications when I go live in the future, and if you haven't yet done so, subscribe. And yeah, I'll see you all next time. Ta-ra!